I don't usually finish a book and then begin another one on the same day, but I guess today is going to be the exception. Today I finished The Overnight, and I will be beginning The Perfect Date. The Perfect Date is another Fear Street novel. I don't know anything about this. It is a completely new novel to me. I am reading this one digitally, so from a text file, and I skipped ahead to the very, very end, and I read the end of the book, and now I'm intrigued on how this entire story plays out. I did my usual thing where I check out the first couple of pages and get a sense for the characters. I don't know if I did a good job assigning voices or not, but we will figure it out as we go, as always. I'm eager to read a book towards the middle and the end of Fear Street, and not so much at the beginning of Fear Street. I've been focusing a lot on like those first 20 books lately. I think that's because, they are there. It's not really in order. I want to see if the same recurring characters show up later in the series that they tend to show up in the beginning of the series. I'm eager to see if David Metcalf, Suki Thomas, Ricky Shore, Dina Martinson, those kinds of people, Reva Dalby, are they showing up anywhere in the series? It would be really nice to see them appear later in the series as much as they did in the beginning of the series. So let's begin. If you want to get in touch with me, you can write me an email, nightfallaudiobooks@gmail.com. I'm on YouTube at Nightfall Audiobooks. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell whoever you think would like to listen to me tell them tales from Fear Street. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you at the end of the book. Welcome to a Nightfall Audiobooks production of The Perfect Date by R.L. Stine, a Fear Street novel, Book 37. Prologue. Brady Carlin squinted his brown eyes against the sun's glare and let out a long, piercing whistle. Perfect, he declared. Absolute, total perfection. What are you saying? Sharon Knowles called out from behind him. Miller Hill, Brady shouted, gazing down from the top of the ridge in Shadyside Park. Yesterday, a record-shattering blizzard had roared through Shadyside. The storm downed power lines, froze water pipes, and dumped more than 3 feet of snow before it finally blew out of town. But yesterday is over, Brady thought. No clouds today, and even better, no school. And Miller Hill, the steepest sledding hill in the park, was one long slope of ice-crusted, blindingly white snow. Brady whistled again. He itched to hop into his sled and soar down to the very bottom. Brady, I can't hear you, Sharon shouted. What did you say? Brady turned and waited while his girlfriend of 2 months trudged along the ridge toward him. Cute was the word for Sharon, he thought. She was short and slender, with saucer-sized blue eyes and a button nose and a small round face. He couldn't see her face at the moment, though. She kept her head down as she staggered along the ridge through the snow, dragging her sled with one puffy mittened hand. Brady could hear her gasping. Definitely not the outdoor type, he thought, as she finally joined him. What? Sharon paused to catch her breath. What were you saying? She asked again, adjusting the yellow knit hat on her light brown hair. Your nose looks like Rudolph's, he teased. That's what you were whistling and shouting about? Her whole face flushed with embarrassment. My nose? Brady quickly leaned over and kissed its ice-cold tip. Forget about your nose. He took her by the shoulders and turned her so she faced downhill. Take a look at Miller Hill. Talk about an awesome sledding experience. It looks more like Killer Hill to me, Sharon declared. It's practically a ski slope, Brady. It's so steep. The steeper the better, Brady insisted. It will be so cool. No one has been on it yet. We'll fly. I'm not so sure I want to fly. Sharon glanced along the ridge toward another hill, which was crowded with sledders. I think we should go over there. To the Kitty Hill? Brady made a face. That's way too tame. But it looks a lot safer, Sharon argued. There aren't any trees, see? And none of those thorny bushes. Nothing to bump into. Nothing except a zillion little kids, Brady replied. We can have Miller Hill to ourselves. Sharon bit her lip. Listen, Shar, we aren't going to bump into anything, Brady assured her. And I'll be right beside you. What can happen? As he talked, Brady shoved their sleds into position, the tips poised on the edge of the ridge. Ready? He asked, tugging his cap down over his curly dark hair. Sharon hung back. Brady, I really don't want to do this. Sure you do. Brady grabbed her hand and pulled her to the sled. In seconds, they lay side by side, belly down on their old-fashioned flexible flyers. Brady? This is so cool, Brady exclaimed. He reached over and yanked Sharon's sled forward, then pushed off on his own. "Let's fly!" he cried, laughing as the wind hit his face. The slope was as fast as Brady had hoped. Faster. Almost immediately, a clump of thorn bushes loomed in front of him. Quickly, he jerked the steering bar and swerved around it. Next obstacle, a pine tree. Another hard shove on the bar, and the tree was behind him. Ice chips blew back, stinging Brady's face. Cold wind brought tears to his eyes. He steered around another tree, another clump of bushes, flying, laughing out loud. "Brady?" Sharon's scream blew by as she hurtled past him. "Brady!" He narrowed his eyes against the ice and wind. Sharon was way ahead now, going faster. Faster. She's out of control, Brady realized. A massive pine stood directly in her path. "Turn the bar!" Brady shouted. The wind tore the words from his mouth. "Turn or jump off!" "Brady!" Sharon's sled slammed sideways into the pine tree and flew into the air. It bounced over a clump of twisted thorn bushes, then skidded on one runner through a stand of twisted pines. He could see Sharon cling to it, could hear her frightened screams. Brady dived off his sled and rolled into the snow. Gasping for breath, he struggled to his feet. Sharon tumbled helplessly downward, losing her grip on the sled. Her terror-filled cries grew fainter and fainter. "Sharon?" Brady plunged down through the snow. "Sharon, you okay? Some ride, huh?" Silence. Brady stumbled on. Finally, he spotted her. She lay at the bottom of the hill, sprawled face down in the snow like a rag doll. "Sharon?" No answer. "Okay, Cher, you were right," Brady admitted with a laugh as he hurried the last few steps. "From now on, we'll sled on the kitty." Brady stopped. Sharon lay motionless. Weird, Brady thought. That's weird. Her back should have been rising and falling as she breathed. It didn't. Brady knelt beside her. "Sharon?" he whispered. No answer. No movement. Brady put his hand on her shoulder, took a deep breath, and tugged her onto her back. "No! No!" Brady's scream echoed off the snow-covered hill. Sharon's face! Her cute, button-nosed face! Nothing was left of it. No eyes, no lips, no face. Nothing. The thorns and metal sled runners had sliced it to red mush. Nothing remained but a pulpy mass of skin and crushed bone. A bright red puddle of blood on the crisp white snow. Chapter 1. The following winter. "Not so fast." "What's your problem?" Brady looked up from the steaming hot pizza in the middle of the table. His best friend, John Davis, had grabbed hold of his wrist, preventing him from diving into his lunch. "You don't get a slice, or even a crumb, until you spill," John insisted. "Spill what?" Brady asked. He tried to keep a straight face, but Brady could feel a smirk spread across his face. He loved teasing his friend this way. "You know what? Stop being such a jerk," John pleaded. "I have no idea what you're talking about," Brady replied. "What did you find out about Lisa?" Brady grinned. "She's crazy about me. Satisfied?" John dropped Brady's wrist with a horrified expression on his face, just the break Brady needed. He grabbed a slice, folded it in half, and took a huge bite. You, John cried. "It figures. I send you in to find out if she likes me, and the hottest girl at Shadyside High confesses that she likes you. You make me sick, man. Sick." Brady smiled with a mouthful of pizza as John dropped his head to the table. He covered his face with his arms. All Brady could see was his friend's flaming red hair. John let out a heavy sigh of defeat. "Lighten up," Brady said. "So Lisa is not the girl for you. Someone else will come along. I mean, how about that girl at the counter?" John glanced at the girl behind the cash register. Then he reached for a slice of pizza. "What do you think of her?" Brady demanded. "Is she a major babe or what?" "She's cute enough," John replied. "Not my type." "Great! Then I'll take her," Brady joked. "I'll get a free pizza every day." John didn't answer. Okay, Brady sighed. "You're still obsessed with Lisa, but I can't believe you don't think that counter girl is hot." "I can't believe you're checking out other girls at all," John mumbled, pulling cheese off his chin. "I mean, what about Allie?" Allie Stoner was Brady's current girlfriend. Brady knew she wouldn't like it if she caught him coming on to other girls, but what Allie doesn't know won't hurt her, he told himself. "What about Allie?" John repeated, starting on his second slice. Brady shrugged. "Hey, what's up with you?" John asked. "Don't tell me you're thinking of breaking up with her." "Not exactly." "What does that mean?" Brady shook his head. "I don't know. Things are fine, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I really like Allie. But she's a lot more serious than I am. Serious about what? About us, Brady explained. So what? She really likes you, John told him. I know. And I like her. It's just that... Brady broke off. Let me guess, John said. You want to go out with other girls, right? Sure, why not? Brady asked. I mean, why not? John shook his head. Well, I think you're really messed up, man. But every girl in Shadyside seems to like you. I don't know why, but... Oh, wow, John, you're jealous, Brady teased, tossing a balled-up napkin at his friend. Admit it. I do, John grinned sheepishly. I wish I had your problem, man. One girl who's too serious about me, and plenty of others just waiting in line. It's tough, all right, Brady agreed, his brown eyes sparkling. I have to figure out how to deal with Allie. Allie. Brady closed his eyes and pictured her. Short auburn hair, gray eyes, long lashes, a nice bod. Not spectacular, but not bad either. A cute mouth when she smiled. If only she wasn't so serious about everything, especially about him. With a sigh, Brady opened his eyes and noticed a girl sliding into the booth across from them. He let out a low whistle. What? John asked. That girl over there, Brady whispered, tilting his head. John rolled his eyes. Another one? Not just another one, a perfect one, Brady insisted. Check her out. John turned his eyes to the other booth, then back to Brady. Nice. Real nice. Nice? She's perfect, Brady exclaimed. I mean it, man. She's totally perfect. As he watched the girl settle into the booth, Brady's heart began to race. He'd never seen such a beautiful girl in his life. Silky blonde hair, swirling past her shoulders like honey, huge eyes in a smooth oval face, full red lips, slightly pouty, and her legs. He'd seen them as she sat down. Wrapped in black, skin-tight leggings, they went on forever. You're drooling, man, John joked, waving his hand in front of Brady's face. Blinking, Brady dragged his gaze away from the girl. I've got to meet her, John, he whispered. I've got to go talk to that girl. Whoa, John frowned across the table. I admit she's kind of great, Brady, but what about Allie? Who? Allie. John shook his head. Never mind. What are you going to do? I don't know. I can't just walk over there and start talking. Brady eyed the girl again. She turned her head, met his gaze, and her perfect lips curved into a very friendly smile. Brady gulped. Well, maybe I can, he said, grinning. You're making a big mistake, John warned him. Think of Allie. Brady ignored him and checked out his reflection in the chrome of the napkin holder. He knew he was good-looking, a narrow face with high, chiseled cheekbones, a dimple in his chin, wide shoulders on a lean, strong body. But was he good-looking enough for her? And would she like him? Only one way to find out, he told himself. He quickly ran his fingers through his curly, dark hair and checked to make sure no stringy cheese dangled from his teeth. He slid out of the booth and took a deep breath. Wish me luck, man, he murmured to John. John grabbed his arm. Come on, Brady. Forget about this. I can't. Brady shook off John's hand. I have to meet her, John. I can't explain it, but I have to. I mean it, Brady. If you go over there, you're making a big mistake, John warned. Brady laughed and started across the aisle. He had no way of knowing how right John was. Chapter 2. Hey, Brady said softly. The girl glanced up and smiled again. Her eyes were green, Brady saw. Blonde hair, green eyes. A perfect combination. Hello. Her voice was low and husky. Want to sit down? Oh, man, this was going better than he had planned. Brady shot John a quick smile. I don't mean to take you away from your friend, the girl said. Huh? Brady's gaze snapped back at her. Oh, no. You're not taking me away from anything. He quickly slid into the booth. My name is Brady. Brady Carlin. Hi, Brady. I'm Rasha Nelson. She picked up a styrofoam cup filled almost to the brim with steaming black coffee. Her red lips hovered at the edge of the cup for a second. She drew back. Way too hot, she declared, carefully setting the cup down. It's scalding. Brady barely heard the words over the sound of his heartbeat. He had never felt such a strong attraction to any girl before. Pounding heart, sweaty palms, a grin he couldn't control. Get a grip, he told himself. Be cool. So, he cleared his throat. Do you go to Shadyside High? She shook her head. Her blonde hair shimmered in the light. St. Anne's, she told him. St. Anne's, a private school across town. That explains it, Brady commented. Explains what? She asked. Why I've never seen you around school. Rasha laughed. Shadyside High is pretty big. I could have been there all along, and he might not have noticed me. I would have noticed you, Brady blurted out, feeling his face go hot. Definitely. Rasha's smile just about knocked him sideways. Listen, Rasha. Brady stopped. Rasha, he repeated. That's a weird name. Nice, I mean, but kind of strange. Is it a family name or something? Hardly. Rasha tossed her hair back and laughed. My mother's hooked on romance novels. Before I was born, she was reading one that had a heroine named Rasha. I think it's kind of weird. I'd rather have a regular name. No way, Brady exclaimed. Rasha is really cool. It fits you. What do you mean? Well, it's special, Brady explained. Like you. Rasha's lips curved in another smile. You think I'm special, Brady? Before he could think of an answer that wouldn't make him sound like a complete jerk, Rasha leaned toward him. I saw you looking at me before. Brady felt his face get hot again. He was usually really smooth with girls, but with her, he kept blushing every 2 seconds. And guess what? Rasha continued. What? I was looking at you too, she whispered. Yeah? Brady knew he was grinning like a total fool, but it didn't matter. She'd been watching him too. This was getting better and better. Rasha laughed. Maybe our meeting is fate or something. Do you believe in fate? Brady had never given fate a thought in his life. You bet, he told her. Listen, Rasha, he added quickly. I'd really like to take you out sometime. Sometime soon, he thought. Very soon. Like in 5 minutes. Hey, okay, Rasha answered. I'm free on Saturday. How's that? Saturday's perfect, Brady said. Why don't you give me your dress so... No, wait a sec. I forgot, Rasha interrupted. My mom works on Saturdays, and I promised I'd do some shopping for her at the mall. She paused, thinking, why don't we just meet there, say, 6 o'clock? Brady nodded eagerly. Downstairs at the fountain? Great. Rasha lifted her coffee cup to her beautiful lips. She blew on the steaming liquid and lowered the cup back to the table. Brady couldn't remove his eyes from Rasha's face. He saw her smile fade, heard her gasp in horror. For a second, he didn't realize what had happened. Then the pain hit him, a searing, sizzling pain. His hand. His hand was on fire. Chapter 3. Your hand, Rasha gasped. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Brady finally realized what had happened. She had spilled coffee on his hand. The coffee burned like lava on Brady's skin. He sucked in a hissing breath and ground his teeth together to keep from yelling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Rasha repeated. She grabbed a handful of napkins and started wiping his hand off. Brady gritted his teeth harder and tried not to whimper. The napkins felt like sandpaper. The coffee was scalding hot. I'm so sorry, Rasha repeated, dabbing at his scorched skin. I wasn't paying any attention. I'm such a klutz. Brady wanted to jump up and down and scream until the pain eased, but he managed to control himself. He carefully slid his hand away. It's okay, Rasha, he told her, trying to keep his voice steady. It's not okay, she cried, staring at his hand in horror. It might blister. You'd better get some ice on it. I feel awful. So do I, Brady thought, but he didn't want to show it. He glanced over at John, who was watching the scene with a frown. Don't worry about it, Brady insisted, turning back to Rasha. Really, it wasn't your fault. Yes, it was, she insisted. I can't believe I did that. Come on, forget about it. No big deal. Brady blew gingerly on his hand, wincing only a little. Are you sure you're okay? Rasha asked, studying him. Sure. He took a couple of deep breaths. The pain had eased. He managed a smile. Of course I'm okay. It feels better already. Your poor hand. Rasha cradled it in her own 2 hands, careful not to touch the burned part. Her skin felt cool, soothing. Gazing at her face, Brady forgot about the pain. You've got the magic touch, he told her. I don't feel a thing now. The worried look began to leave her eyes. Well, if you're sure. Really, I'm fine. No problem. Just keep holding my hand, Brady thought. In that case, I've got to go home. Rasha sighed. You know, homework. Yeah, me too, Brady agreed reluctantly. No way would he be able to concentrate on his homework, or on anything ever again, until Saturday. Rasha slid out of the booth and draped her backpack over her shoulder. Brady stood too. Hey, don't forget about Saturday. The fountain at the mall, 6 o'clock. How could I forget? Rasha's green eyes glowed warmly at him. See you Saturday, Brady. Bye. Bye. Brady gazed after her as she left the restaurant. Even after she disappeared, he continued to stare. You're drooling again, John called from the next booth. Still in a daze, Brady crossed the aisle and dropped down across from his friend. John leaned over and tapped him on the arm. Earth to Brady. Come in, Brady. Brady finally snapped out of it. She's perfect, he announced. She's the most perfect girl I ever saw. Yeah, but what about you? John asked. I think I'm in love, Brady replied with a grin. I was talking about your hand, John told him. Brady glanced down. The skin on the back of his hand was turning an angry-looking red. No big deal, he insisted. It's not even blistering. Not yet, John warned. I'll put some ice on it when I get home. Okay, Mom? I'm not kidding, man, John declared. You ought to have a doctor check it out. That girl almost charbroiled your hand. Brady grinned. I didn't even feel it. Brady! Allie Stoner cried across the hallway of Shadyside High the next day. Brady stuffed his English book into his locker and peered around the door at his girlfriend. Hey, Allie. I've been looking for you all, Allie gasped. Brady, what happened to your hand? My hand? It's so swollen. Allie's face filled with concern. What happened? Oh, just an accident. I dumped hot coffee on myself. Brady turned back to his locker. It's no big deal. Meeting Rasha, though, that was the big deal. Allie leaned across the locker next to Brady's. Anyway, I've been looking for you all day. I thought I'd see you at lunch, but you weren't in the lunchroom. Yeah, I had to skip lunch, Brady explained as he pulled out a notebook. I needed to get some work done in the biolab. True, Brady told himself, but only partly true. He had also wanted to avoid Allie. You must be starving then. Allie shifted her backpack and tucked a strand of smooth auburn hair behind her ear. Want to go to Pete's and get some pizza? No, I can't, Brady replied quickly. I really have to get home and study. Allie's gray eyes widened in surprise. On Friday afternoon? Brady forced a laugh. I'm kind of behind in a couple of things. Also true, but mainly he wanted to be alone. Alone to think about Rasha. He pulled out another notebook and glanced at Allie. Come on, Brady, he ordered himself. Tell her about tomorrow. Tell her you won't be seeing her after all. Listen, Allie. Brady slammed his locker door shut. About the basketball game tomorrow night. Oh, right. That's why I was looking for you, Allie interrupted. I need to know what time you're picking me up. Brady closed his eyes for a second. Do it, Brady. Brady? He opened his eyes. Allie gazed at him expectantly. She wore a short black skirt over gray tights, a reddish-brown sweater that matched her hair, and a gold locket around her slender neck. She looked great, but not as great as Rasha. Nobody compared to Rasha. Brady? Allie repeated. What's the matter? Did your car break down or something? No, it's not that, Brady told her. I can't take you to the game, Allie. I'm really sorry. But I have to babysit my cousin. Definitely lame, but a lot easier than the truth. Allie flashed him a surprised look. I thought your cousin was in 9th grade. This is another cousin, Brady said. Chucky. He's only 8. I guess I never mentioned him. He lives in the old village. Oh. Allie's dark eyebrows drew together in a disappointed frown. I'm really sorry, Allie, Brady told her. I was really pumped about going to the game. But my aunt called last night. She was really in a jam. I understand. Allie frowned again. Then she brightened. I know. How about if I go with you? I don't mind missing the game that much. I'd rather spend time with you. Brady thought fast. Me too, but Chucky, my cousin, has the flu. My aunt says he has a really high fever. Plus, he's throwing up every half hour. Poor kid, Allie murmured. That's Allie, Brady thought guiltily. She doesn't suspect that I'm lying. She feels bad about a sick kid. A sick kid who's actually in perfect health and doesn't need a babysitter. So, anyway, I can't let you come with me, he told her. You could get sick. You could too, Allie pointed out. Yeah, but it doesn't make sense for both of us to take the chance, he insisted. I guess not. Allie slumped against a bank of lockers and sighed. I'm really sorry, Brady repeated. Hey, maybe we can do something on Sunday. We already are, Allie reminded him. You and John are coming over to my house. We're studying together, remember? Oh, yeah! Listen, Allie, I have to get out of here. I'm really sorry about the game, but I'll definitely see you Sunday, okay? Okay. Brady kissed her quickly, then took off down the hall. At the corner, he glanced back. Allie waved to him. Even from this distance, he could see the disappointment on her face. Brady waved back, then turned the corner. He felt guiltier than ever. Allie is so nice, and she really cares about you, he lectured himself. And you just stood there and lied. How could you do that to her? Simple. I did it because of Rasha. Brady couldn't help it. He couldn't get Rasha out of his mind since the second he set eyes on her. He couldn't wait to see her again. He'd never felt this way about a girl in his life, not even Sharon. Sharon had been dead for nearly a year, but Brady still thought about her almost every day. She had been so sweet, with her big eyes and cute nose. When he thought of her, he always tried to picture her before the sledding accident, but sometimes, especially in his dreams, he'd see her face the way it looked that day. Her torn, bleeding face. No face at all, really. No face at all. Brady blinked the image away. He pushed through the school doors and strode outside. A cold wind greeted him. Icy flakes of snow swirled down. He barely felt them. Sharon and Allie had already disappeared from his mind. All he could think of was Rasha. Only one more day. Only one more day, and he'd be with her. Does Rasha feel this way? He wondered. Is she counting the hours until we'll be together? Will she even show up? She's so perfect, Brady thought. It seemed impossible that such a perfect girl could be interested in him. But she said she was watching you, Brady reminded himself. And she talked about fate. Fate. Brady had never thought much about it. Was it really fate that had brought him and Rasha together? Or was she just teasing him, just having some fun at his expense? Will she show up on Saturday? Brady wondered for the 1000th time. Was she serious? Will she be there? Chapter 4. Brady stood by the big fountain on the first floor of the Shadyside Mall. He glanced around nervously at the shoppers rushing by. He didn't know if Allie had gone to the game without him, but even if she had, some of her friends might show up here and see him. He would have some major explaining to do if word got back to Allie that he was at the mall instead of babysitting. Rasha is worth the chance, he thought. I just wish she would get here. He checked his watch. 5 minutes to 6. Only 30 seconds had passed since the last time he had checked. Get a grip, he told himself. You're acting like a 13-year-old geek on his first date. He made himself sit down on the flat stone rim surrounding the fountain. Tried to look cool and casual. Nobody could read his mind after all. Nobody could hear his heart pounding with excitement. Excitement and fear. What if Rasha didn't show? He might never see her again. Brady stood up, too anxious to sit still. He forced himself not to check his watch. He put one foot on the fountain rim and gazed into the water. Pennies and nickels glittered up at him. Wishing coins. Why not? Brady thought, staring at the coins. It can't hurt. He dug into the pocket of his jeans and pulled out a quarter. I wish, he thought, picturing Rasha's face. I wish. Think it will come true? A husky voice asked. Brady spun around. Rasha! She wore a plum-colored jacket and tight black jeans stuffed into soft leather boots. Her full red lips curved into a smile. You look great, Brady blurted out, his mouth dry. He dropped the quarter. It made a sharp cracking sound as it hit the floor. Rasha bent gracefully and picked it up. A quarter. Most people tossed pennies, she remarked, handing Brady the coin. Must be an important wish. It was. Brady slipped the quarter back in his pocket and grinned at her. But I don't need it anymore. I mean, you're here. You thought I wouldn't come? I was afraid you might not show up, Rasha admitted, laughing. Brady laughed too, totally relieved. How about a movie? He asked. That new Brad Pitt film is playing over in Waynesbridge. Waynesbridge was a town next to Shadyside. Brady felt pretty sure he wouldn't run into any of Allie's friends there. Sounds great, Rasha agreed. She tucked her arm through his. Wait, don't you have bags or anything? He asked. I thought you had a bunch of shopping to do for your mom. Rasha sighed. Couldn't find what she wanted, and she's super picky. It's better to go home empty-handed than with stuff she doesn't like. She hitched a black leather purse onto her shoulder and squeezed his arm. Let's go, Brady. Anything you say. On the movie screen, a terrified woman crept down the hallway of her house. Behind her, a door opened silently. A pair of dark, menacing eyes peered out. Brady jumped as something touched his arm. It's just me, Rasha whispered softly. She leaned closer to him. These scary movies always freak me out. She slid her hand into his. Their fingers intertwined. Brady took a deep breath. Perfect, he thought. The movie is almost over, and so far everything is perfect. He stared at the screen without seeing it and thought about their drive to Waynesbridge. They had talked from the minute they left the mall, and it was so easy. No long, uncomfortable silences, no stumbling conversation or nervous laughter. I feel as if we've known each other forever, Brady had told her. Me too, Rasha agreed. I knew it would be like this. I knew it the minute I saw you. You did? Sure, Rasha smiled. I told you it was fate, didn't I? You really believe that? Brady asked. I know it, Rasha smiled again, tossing her head back. Brady liked the way her long blonde hair tumbled around her shoulders like a model's in a shampoo commercial. He liked her laugh, her low, throaty voice, her green eyes and pouty mouth. He liked everything about her, especially the way she squeezed his hand during the scary parts of the movie. Brady focused on the screen again. The film had ended. The credits were rolling. And Rasha still held his hand. "That was great," she exclaimed as they edged their way up the crowded aisle. "I love happy endings." Brady gave her hand a squeeze. "Should we get something to eat?" he asked. "There's a burger hut a couple of doors down." "I wish I could," Rasha told him, "but I really have to get back. I promised my mother I'd be home by 10, she sighed. "I know, it's ridiculous, but whenever I go out with somebody she hasn't met yet, she insists I come home early." "She doesn't trust me, huh?" Brady asked. "Not yet, but don't worry. When she meets you, she'll like you." Rasha smiled. "And then we can stay out late." Brady's disappointment vanished. "Then we can stay out late. She really likes me. She really wants to see me again." Rasha shivered as they stepped outside into the cold night air. Brady put his arm around her shoulders, and she snuggled against him. The wind blew a strand of her hair across his face. It felt like silk. Rasha shivered again. Brady pulled her closer. And then he saw the girl. She stood in the shadows under the theater marquee, staring at him. Brady wouldn't have given her a second glance, except for her face. It was the most hideous face he'd ever seen. Scars, Brady realized with a shudder. Her entire face is covered with scars. Scars crisscrossed the girl's forehead like railroad tracks. Twisted, rope-like scars almost fused her eyelids shut. Her cheeks and chin wrinkled like shriveled apples. A web of horrible scars, red in the bright light from the movie theater. As the girl's eyes stared at him from behind the twisted flesh of her eyelids, Brady shuddered again. He hurried Rasha away, the girl following his every step. The fierce glint in her eyes made him uneasy. Who is she, he wondered, and why is she staring at me like that?